Number 1. Nerve impulses to and from the brain travel as fast as 170 miles per hour. The reason we can react so promptly to things around us, or when we find ourselves suddenly in pain, is because of the speed in which our nerve impulses are able to relay messages to our brain, which then send out instructions to the rest of our body. The speed of nerve impulses varies in different variations of neuron. The fastest travel at about 250 miles per hour. In order for the impulse to travel quickly, the axon is required to be well insulated and thick. However, this utilizes large amounts of energy, and so usually these things are only used for things that need to transfer information urgently, such as when you burn your fingers. It's critical that the brain gets the message as soon as possible so you can withdraw your hand and stop causing any more damage. Now, technically, this makes our reactions faster than a Formula One car, but it also means that our perception of time is relative. What feels like an instant reaction to us would likely appear extremely slow from the perspective of another species. Smaller creatures have shorter lengths of neural wiring linking nerves to the brain, which means their reactions are demonstrably quicker. The body of a cockroach, for example, is almost entirely made up of neural matter, giving it a reaction speed that, as humans, we can barely comprehend. It's like comparing a postman delivering a letter to a house down the road to a postman delivering a letter to himself. But 170 miles per hour will still do pretty nicely. Number 2, the human body is estimated to have 60,000 miles of blood vessels. The sheer amount of blood vessels in the human body is so vast that if you laid it down end to end, they'd wrap around the Earth twice, covering a distance of more than 50,000 miles. Though we wouldn't recommend trying it, you'll only make a mess. The majority of the blood vessels in our body are microscopic capillaries. While they're only short in length, the amount of them is vast. You're looking at around 40 billion. To fully appreciate this, you have to try and understand how big 1 billion really is. Your heart beats around 100,000 times a day. At this rate, it will take 30 years to beat 1 billion times. Number 3, sneezes regularly exceed 100 miles per hour. You're not going to get in trouble with the police, but when you sneeze, air can leave your body at more than 100 miles per hour. For this reason, you're advised to cover your nose and mouth when sneezing to avoid spreading germs at, frankly, an alarming speed. And it's the speed of a sneeze that's also why we're unable to keep our eyes open. Number 4, the strongest muscle in the human body is the tongue. Before you stick it out and start attempting bench presses, you should know that the tongue is only the strongest muscle in the body in proportion to its size. Like the heart, the tongue is always working. It's constantly pushing saliva down your throat, even as you sleep, and it plays a major part in digestion. And in between, continually moving and contorting itself to aid in forming the sounds we need for most forms of communication. Without it, I'd currently be a hell of a lot quieter, which might be good or bad, depending on where you stand. And when it isn't doing all of that stuff, it even helps to drain out germs because of our linguinal tonsils. Number 5. 300 million cells die in the human body every minute. Now, it might sound like a terrifying tragedy, but seriously, try not to panic. That number seems scary, but really it's just a tiny percentage of the total number of cells in every human body. Scientists estimate that we've all got somewhere between 10 to 50 trillion, so why sweat about losing a few 100 million? Number 6, we're about 1 centimetre taller in the morning than we are in the evening. Now, if you regularly leap out of bed in the morning and feel like a giant, then first of all, we all hate you. You lucky, lucky person. But secondly, you might actually be scientifically right. Because the cartilage in our knees and other areas tends to compress during normal daily activities such as standing and sitting, Most people on average are about 1 centimetre taller in the morning than they are in the evening. But when you go to sleep, however, things gradually go back to normal, and the discs of the spine operate in a similar fashion. During the night, they resorb more fluid, making the person temporarily taller. Number 7. You were born with blue eyes. Although the colour of someone's eyes is derived from the genes passed down from their parents, most babies at birth appear to have blue eyes, and the reason for this is the pigment melanin. The melanin in a newborn's eyes regularly requires time after birth to adjust, shifting in tone after exposure to ultraviolet light, which in turn later reveals the baby's true eye colour. Number 8. It is impossible to tickle yourself. Right, so, having now given you a couple of seconds to inevitably try, even the most ticklish among us will find themselves unable to tickle themselves. Now this is because the brain is able to predict the tickle from information it already possesses. Because it controls the way your fingers are moving, it already knows exactly what they're about to do. The element of surprise is gone, and it simply won't work. You're gonna have to just find someone else to tickle you. Sorry. Number 9. There are 7 octillion atoms in the human body. It's hard to contemplate the insane intricacy of human life before you realise how many atoms make up our bodies. An adult is made up of around 7 octillion atoms. What's an octillion? Well, a million has 6 zeros at the end of it, while an octillion has 27. On average, 87% of the atoms in our body are hydrogen or oxygen, which on paper makes us seem like unfeasible meaty clouds. The rest is mainly made up of carbon and nitrogen, but with a total of 41 chemical elements usually present in most people. And that's obviously before you've even touched the energy drinks. The exact number of atoms and elements varies with age, diet, and other environmental aspects, but 7 octillion should be enough of a rough estimate. Number 10. The acid in your stomach is strong enough to dissolve razor blades. Although we can't overstate the importance that you definitely don't try to test this fact at home with the razor blade or any other metal object for that matter, the acids that digest the food we eat shouldn't be underestimated. The type of acid in your stomach is hydrochloric acid, which makes light work of the pizza we constantly shove in, but can also dissolve various types of metal. Thanks everyone for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. For more top 10 lists, be sure to subscribe by clicking on the button that you can see now.